Hey Woodturners, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. I got a tip for you. I often get emails, notes, and when we do Ustream, you do know what Ustream is, right? Ustream is a live program we do twice a week. And it's on Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock Central and Saturday afternoons at 2 o'clock Central. And this is a program where you can actually watch what goes on. It takes an hour. You can ask questions, put some input in, etc., etc. And if you don't know where to find it, go to my homepage, www.eddiecastellan.com, right here, this address. Go there. All the way on the bottom of the page, you'll find a link to the Ustream channel. Now, subscribe to that channel, if you would, and you'll be able to get the program. But had a guy the other day said, I want to get into turning pens. I got my first package, got my mandrel, got my kit, made one up, and then threw it into the wood pile because I screwed it up. Well, I want to show you how to get into pens and how to practice for pens. And you don't need a mandrel, and you don't need bushings, and you don't need tubes, and all you need is your lathe, your tools, and a willingness to give it a try. And if you like to do that, all you have to do right now, here and now, is watch. When folks tell me they want to learn how to turn pens, I say the first thing you have to do is learn how to use your tools. I can't teach you art, and I can't teach you pens. I can teach you how to use your tools. Let's start off with a block of stock. It doesn't have to be exotic, it doesn't have to be gorgeous, it doesn't have to be beautiful, it's just got to be good stock, okay? Now, we're not going to hold this on the mandrel do bushings. We're going to put it right there. You see that? That's the hole right there. I'll put my pinky in there. You may have to come get it out. But I'm going to stick it in that hole and then use it to turn. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my block plane, and I just discovered I bought this in September 1964. It's coming up on 50 years old. Alright, I'm going to knock the corners off. And I'm going to shape it down a little bit to get it in here. That's all. Just knock the corners off. Get it to where it'll fit into that headstock. Okay? Then we'll go from there. When you get it whittled down to the right size, you're going to come over to the headstock and you're going to drive it in. Running just about true. Okay? The wood will not hurt your headstock. If it does, you got real problems with that machine you bought. Now, we're going to bring up a revolving center, your cone center, any other moving center. And we're going to pinch the block at the center. Okay? So now we have a block spinning between centers. I'm going to give you a few options. Number one, I'm going to spin the lathe at about 1,000 RPMs. Okay? Number two, I'm going to make sure my tool, regardless of what tool it is, approaches the wood at or above center. But not so far above center that the tool won't work. This is the Bluetooth package. You see it? Now, if I go in here now, I am about 3/8 of an inch above the center. That's a little bit high. So I'm going to drop the tool, rest about 1/4 inch. That way when I go in, I have essentially a round blank. I did it with the radius square cutter. See the radius square cutter? Now this one has seen hell. Really has. But it's still sharp enough to make this pen blank, because they last a long time. Now, if I don't have a Bluetooth, I may have to go with my gouge. This is a 3/8 inch deep V gouge from D-Way Tools. Nice easy cutting. Here's the deal. If I'm going to be turning pens, did you hear the speed go up? I just went to 2200 RPMs. Why? I'm going to get a nicer cut. Now I want you to see something when I make this cut. We get you down in there. I am reading the bevel. See that? That's the bevel. There it is. The blade came into contact. I'm slicing off this one corner right here. And this is smooth. I don't mean just smooth this way. It's smooth long ways because I read the bevel. I practiced. I can normally turn a pen 90% of the way with this tool. This is a deep V 3/8 inch Ellsworth from Dave at D-Way Tools. This is a 3/8 inch bar set up for Bluetooth from me at Big Eye Productions, EddieCastellan.com. Then, once I have that done, I need to practice with my skew to be able to shape this thing and get it smooth. This is my weapon of choice there. This is my skew. Don't be afraid of it. Take it out of the garden. It's not made for planting bulbs. It's a tool. Now watch. I'm going to lay it on here. It's not cutting. Roll it over a little bit. Real time, no ridges. No ridges. You want to take a closer look at that? Let's see. We'll get any closer. Smooth. So smooth we could take our sandpaper and start sanding it right here. Now, why? Well, this is sharpened. Take a look at this edge. This is not sharpened using a jig on a grinder, and there's a dozen people that make them. This is sharpened on a grinder, just rounding these two shoulders. You don't have a grinder to do it, you can do this on a belt sander. Put it down on your belt sander with the blade running that way. Lay it down, roll it up. Turn it over, roll it up. Turn it over, roll it up. Turn it over, roll it up. Don't overheat it. The angle here, 25 degrees. Measure it with a protractor you get it at Home Depot. And then when you get it sharpened up like that, stand it up in front of you where you can see it, and take your diamond stone and dress the edge. Why? I'll show you. When you get done grinding, this is what you're going to be looking at. Now, the deal's this. If you put this diamond stone down on a table and you're standing above it and you're trying to stroke it flat, you have no idea what's happening on that blade. You haven't been doing it long enough to get a feel for it. So, let's get it up here where I can see it. And then I can pull this blade down just like that, and I can see when it makes contact with that edge. And I can dress it here, and then turn it around and dress it here, and dress it here on each side. I can strop it, and I can get that edge perfect and not be fighting it. Big difference when you bring it up where you can see it, when you control the stone, and when you can regulate it so you don't, if you push it way over the edge, you'll dull it. If you never get to the edge, you won't sharpen it. Once you get it there, and you have it with a good sharp edge on it, then you can work with it. Now, I have a technique for cutting that's unlike anybody else that does the skew. But it's very much like the guys that really know how to work the skew. I'm working the bevel, rubbing the bevel and controlling the cut. I'm going to move you in a little bit closer in a different camera so you can see what I'm doing. Now, yesterday I shot this video and I turned this and showed you how to use the skew and how to make the run and all from the other direction. But I clamped the camera to the headstock. The harmonics and the lathe shut the camera down. And shut it down, and shut it down, and shut it down. It gave it a real major problem. So, we're going to try it again today without the camera being mounted to the lathe. Okay? And if that doesn't work, I've got a black and white shot with a GoPro and I'll voice over it. You're looking at something fairly similar to what we had yesterday. Speed's going to go back up around 2200 RPMs. You're going to ask me why this speed? Because it cuts nicer than it does at a slow speed. And I really believe in getting the best cut right off the bat. To use the skew, put it on the surface. You see the gap at the front, right down in here? That means I'm not making contact with the bevel. I'm not going to pick my hand up because that's too much muscle movement. What I'm going to do is twist my wrist. Saw it come, see it come into contact? Again, right back here. Simple twist of the wrist. Camera tripod's getting in my way from dancing. Otherwise I would have shifted my weight, moved over to my left side. But again, down here, twisting the wrist. Cut on the middle, cut on the bottom, cut on the edge. I don't care where you cut at, it's all okay. You'll get a much nicer cut just twisting your wrist. If you pick the tool up to try to do that, move it towards you, you will get a catch. Because you will pull yourself off the bevel. What do I want to do? I want to ride on the back of this part just a silly millimeter off that edge. And when I twist it, I move that silly millimeter to the edge. I'm going to show you at a very slow speed. See it? Now when I twist it, watch what happens to that edge. There it goes. It's getting in there. Okay? Watch it again. Twist. It comes in. you should see what I just had to erase. I forgot to turn the camera off. I'm moving it around, did this, adjusted this, actually cleaned up something. But I'm back. Now, here's the deal about the skew. If you go buy a sharpening rig from One Way, Hannah's, anybody else, that you put the skew in a socket and you pass it back and forth across the grinding wheel to put a concave edge, dished out edge, you're going to have a hard time reading that micro bevel. It's almost impossible for a new turner to develop that skill unless you have somebody there putting their hands on your hands to show you how to make it happen. If you try sharpening with that stone down on a bench and lapping it, you're going to have a hard time getting this rounded edge sharp. So, up in front of you, take the stone, thrust it off just like I showed you, and you're going to have it right here in front of you, and you're going to be able to say, okay, I've just caught that edge. I've just caught that edge. You see, there's nothing else that matters except that little bitty edge. I don't care what the rest of this looks like. It can look like ground meat. It's all right. But it's just that little fine edge. Now, this angle, 25 degrees. This angle, very unimportant. But get this, if you have it too sloped, it's too hard to work. If you have it straight, it's difficult to work. If you have it rounded, you have a few more options. But don't get fancy right off the bat. Get simple. Shape it on your belt sander. You don't heat it up that way. 80 grit belt works fine. Remember, the belt's going away from you. And then sharpen it with a fine diamond or a fine soapstone. But just get that edge right. You will be so much happier with it. And then go over to your test block. And I mean, your test block is just going to be a chunk of wood, and this is such a pretty piece of wood. Just going to be a chunk of wood that you're going to play around with. When you get all done, you're going to throw it away. See, there's no magic. If you have no commitment to that block, no sleeves in it, no kit for it, no, you're not married to it, you're just dating, it's okay. You will shape that piece, learn how to use your tool a little bit better, and you will be a happier wood turner. It's when we take that $3 pen blank and throw it on there, and we have to make something out of it because we spent $3 on it. Don't go there. Start with not junk wood. You don't want to use hardwoods like pine and don't go down that road that it's softwood. You don't want to use woods that won't slice nice. But then you might learn how to slice better if you do woods that don't slice nice. Alright, I'm Captain Eddie Castle, and thanks for joining me. And today we've been making shavings. Now get a practice piece and go out there and practice. Don't worry about it if you throw it away. In fact, you know what? When you get done, put a string in it and hang it above your lathe to show everybody, I've been working at this. That is, if anybody ventures into that dusty, dirty old place you call a workshop. You take care, be good.